Hi, AP World History students. Mrs. Longnecker here again with another lesson on AP World skills. And today I want to talk about a skill that we don't often spend a lot of time on in school, and that is the skill of how to take a multiple choice test. The AP exam multiple choice section is really challenging for students because it is likely to be very different from any multiple choice test you have taken in the past. And I'll explain some of the reasons why it's different in a second. But oftentimes students say, Mrs. L, I'm really good at taking multiple choice tests. I know a lot of strategies for how to be successful in multiple choice tests, but when I get these AP World questions, I am just stumped. And there are some reasons for that. There's some things about this test that are very different. So let me briefly talk to you about some things about the AP World multiple choice test that make it different. And that difference can be challenging until you learn how to adapt to it. And then let me give you a couple of strategies for answering AP style multiple choice questions. Here we go. First, this test measures a lot of things at once. Every question on the exam is not only measuring your historical content knowledge, it is also measuring some historical thinking skills. And in order to measure those historical thinking skills, you have a variety of kinds of questions. But one thing that all of the questions on the exam have in common is that they are what we call stimulus-based questions. A stimulus-based question means that questions are grouped in sets, generally of 3 to 5 questions, and all of the questions in a set are related in some way to a stimulus, which is most often a text document or a visual of some kind. And the visuals can include pieces of art, they can include maps, graphs, charts, then there's a lot of text to read. Some of the text are from primary sources written during the time period that a question is asking you about, and others are secondary sources written at a later time period looking back on a particular topic. So in addition to knowing about world history, you have to interpret the source material that you're given and apply a particular historical thinking skill in order to answer the question successfully. That's a big job if what you're used to is reading a question and finding the correct answer among a set of 4 or 5 choices. So this is a really different test, right? Let's just kind of acknowledge that from the get-go. But that doesn't mean that it is insurmountable, right? AP style multiple choice questions are something that you can learn to be good at. So I want to talk you through a couple of strategies that can really help you as you begin working on this skill of answering multiple choice questions. So the first thing that you should do when you get a new document set is that you should examine the document. Now notice that I say examine the document rather than just read the document, because the place that you should start first when you're looking at a document is you should look at the source line. On the multiple choice portion of the AP exam, formatting wise, the source line is usually at the bottom of the image or of the text. And it's going to give you some information about that source. Oftentimes you're given an author. If there's a title of the document, you'll be given the title of the document. You may be given some information about when and where and for whom the document was created. And if this sounds like what we do in sourcing, when we're thinking about analyzing documents for written work, it's the same stuff in that source line. And that can actually give you some clues about answering the question. So read that source line and then read and examine the document itself. Figure out what is the content of the document. What is it actually saying? What is it talking about? You don't need to spend tons of time examining the document, but get the gist of it. And then read each question one at a time. Read the question carefully so that you know what the question is asking, and then see if you can answer the question in your mind even before you read the answers. Because if you know what answer you are looking for, you might find that it is one of the answer choices, and then with just a little bit of verification, you can call it good and move on to the next question. So try answering the question in your mind and then read the answer choices. Now, reading the answer choices is where some people get hung up, because on the AP exam, these question choices are asking you for the best answer, not necessarily the true or correct answer. And that difference in language is important because occasionally in the answer choices, there will be more than one answer that is a historically accurate statement, but only one of the choices is going to be the best statement in response to the particular question being asked. So it's a little bit of a matching game. You need to know enough about history to recognize how the document relates to the question and how the answers relate to the question, and you want the best match between question and answer. We're going to come back to this in some future lessons and talk about ways to analyze the documents quickly and effectively. We're going to talk about some of the ways to eliminate wrong answers, but I didn't want this video lesson to be super long. So for today, right, rapid recap, here's what we talked about and what you should pay attention to for right now. That number one, this multiple choice These multiple choice questions are probably different from what you've seen before. Number two, one of the reasons that these are different and in some ways more difficult than other questions you've answered is because they are stimulus-based, and you have to layer your knowledge of world history and your understanding of a document and your ability to answer the questions. So there's a lot going on with the questions themselves. Number three, we talked about kind of a basic process for going through the questions. Read the source line, examine the document, read the question, find the best matching answer. And number four, I warned you that some of the answers are going to be historically accurate, but not necessarily the best match for the question. So once you get to the point of reading the answer choices, you're looking for the best choice rather than just the true choice. That's a lot of information that I just gave you right here. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, right, stop, back up, rewatch any parts of the video, and we will come back to this in a future lesson. AP World students, you are doing some awesome work this year, and I will see you in the next lesson.